call to order the Select Board meeting of Monday, August 20th. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Doing good. He's got oxygen.
Why did we put this before everything? Because that's what it was.
Smoked all those years.
Oh, I know.
So who's going to preside at the town plan public hearing?
Ned, well, actually, it's the select board, so you
Select
could
board,
probably open
okay.
the hearing and read that notice, and then Ned will come forward.
Okay, who has the notice? You have the copy of
It's
the
in your
notice?
packet, right
All right.
behind the agenda.
All right, got it. All right, so,
Read that.
okay, so, notice is hereby given that the town of St. Albans, Vermont is holding a public hearing during a regularly scheduled select board meeting on Monday, August 20th at 6:30 PM at the St. Albans Town Hall to consider approval of the 2018 St. Albans Town Plan. The statement of purpose to adopt the 2018 St. Albans Town Plan in accordance with the new 8-year readoption requirements. This action is being taken pursuant to 24 VSA subsection 4384 and 4385, pursuant to chapter 117 of title 24, section 43087 and 4384 of the Vermont statute notated, in case anybody's really interested and wants to look into this in detail. Word. A full text of the plan is on file and available for review at the St. Albans Town Planning Office at 579 Lake Road, St. Albans Bay, Vermont, weekdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. This plan is intended to be consistent with the goals established in Chapter 117 of Title 24, Section 4387 and 4384, Vermont statutes annotated. Okay, having said that, this is the second and final select board?
This is, yes.
Town hearing for the town plan. Is there anybody here to speak to the plan or ask questions of the plan?
We need a motion to open the hearing?
I don't know.
Yes, we do need a motion to open.
Okay, so that's my motion. Having read this, that's the motion.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, now having said that, is there anybody here to speak to the plan or ask questions about it?
I don't see anyone here
So
that has questions.
So let me just say to the chair that I think it's well-written and nicely done. Thank the planning commission and the director of administration.
Thank you. Okay, having said that, I would move that we close the hearing. I'm not going to read this whole thing again.
Right, that's fine.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, what is the next step?
Someone should move that you adopt the plan.
All right.
So moved.
Okay, so
Who moved that?
Brendan
Brendan.
moved that we adopt the plan as written. Any discussion or comment about that? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And now for next steps, a copy will be sent to regional planning?
Regional planning and Department of, whatever DEC means these days,
Oh, that
Yeah.
four-letter acronym.
the state agency.
Okay.
Well, we can
Department of
we can
Community
look it up
Affairs
here in
and
all these
Commerce.
recitals.
And Ed was gonna give you an update while he's here on 3 other things, that he's been working on.
Excuse the coffee stains on this, just hand this one across. Excuse the coffee stains. It's not just
They're
one
fresh.
little one. Yeah,
Brand
it
new.
was fresh coffee, of course I twitched with a full cup, just to spread it out.
It was recent.
That's the, yeah.
Today?
Yeah, that's I printed today.
But had
Recent-
you updated it since I put it in their packets
No.
last Thursday?
Oh, no, I did not.
Okay, so they've already got copies
Oh,
of
they've
that.
gotten
Yep.
copies?
Yeah.
Oh, we got them.
Ned, it was recent, it's still wet.
Yeah, well, yes, yeah. Well, it's stormwater.
There you go. Yeah.
Give it the color.
Yeah. Well, it was decafs, because it's,
Right.
an evening. But we are moving ahead with those stormwater projects, as you see there. There's 5 of them. They should be done within about a year or so. And those are the various budget figures. In fact, I have here the latest proposal from the consultant for doing the engineering and the permitting end of stuff. And it's, so far, I haven't had a chance to really go through it with a fine-tooth comb. It seems pretty good at a very, very fair price to the
Is that
town.
Du Bois?
Du Bois
It
Engineering,
is.
yes. And they have a fairly large team of people that are going to be working on it, including surveyors, permitters, engineers, and community activist people. The great thing about those grants is that we're getting them at about between 35 and 25 cents on the dollar from the state. So we're getting a very good deal on getting these things implemented.
Did you say grants?
Yeah, they're grants.
Okay, do we have them, or do we apply?
We already have them. They're
All this money is money in hand.
it will be. We just have to bill for it.
It's reimbursement.
All right, so they're all approved.
They're approved, contract signed, and everything.
Okay.
And so to try to get a better price in engineering, we gone out to bid this summer, and engineering for all 5 projects was done, or bid at the same time.
Yeah,
That's why he's working with the same contractor for
Yeah.
all 5.
Rather than divide it into 5 separate contracts, it just seemed smart to put it out because it was going to be in the $100,000 range. Just put all the engineering and permitting together because I figured we'd get a better bang for the buck, and from what I see here, we did do
How
that.
did you get the pricing without MOUs?
We knew on a gross scale exactly what they'd have to do because it's a fairly standard process for the engineering and the surveying and what they were going to do for us. So we knew from based on what South Burlington and Shelburne and some other towns have done over the last couple of decades, we could just follow them and we knew what was going to go on.
It's still, if they're gonna do 25% and we haven't got an MOU from them, it's gonna be difficult, isn't it?
Oh, in terms of the engineering and us,
No, in terms of the property owners and us.
we will, that's part of the engineering and permitting process that we were going to be going with the,
But if you can't get the homeowners association to agree with you, nothing is going to work.
well, that's something we are going to have to deal with. And it has the potential to
Well,
make
that-
some of these blow up and go away.
Ned, to be honest with you, I looked at the original charts you gave us,
Correct.
and most of that was supposed to have been done, the MOUs, by July of 2018. So looking here at the new chart, we're behind.
We are behind by about a month, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. In most,
Northwest Medical Center is about a year and something behind.
yeah, theirs, I think, is going to be the easier one to get.
We hope.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to be easy, I'll tell you right now, so.
But you had a verbal agreement with the HOA from Tanglewood.
Tanglewood, yes.
They've had conversations with their people. That one.
I see these dates slip, and I can look down the line further, and I can see those falling out too, so it's gonna be difficult to keep this moving on target.
I
Good
agree.
luck to you.
Yeah, it is going to be difficult, and there is going to be yelling and screaming that they got a better price than we, stuff like that's going to definitely happen, I'm sure.
Now,
But
I
they need to
asked
move
this
forward.
before, and I haven't gotten an answer yet, and that's the year I was absent from the board. Did the board give permission to go on private property? Because there was some words when I was here, we weren't going on private property. So did the board make a decision to go on private property?
I don't think the board ever
Not to my
did.
knowledge, because
No.
we can't go on without an easement or an agreement.
So is this figured in your,
Yes, it is. It's gonna be part of the MOU,
okay, good luck.
yeah.
Well, and some of these projects are not gonna be done by the town, they're gonna be contracted out.
But somebody has to go on there.
I mean, well, your question is, we're not necessarily proposing to do all this work.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, Carrie, you know, originally, we were gonna do a bulk of the work.
Yes, originally we were.
So if that's changed, I'm not aware of it. We're not doing the bulk of the work any longer?
We're probably gonna end up doing about 50% or so.
50?
50 or so.
All right, okay. I
I'm-
want to make
I'm-
sure you're not saying 15.
Oh, no, no, no.
No.
I'm saying.
No,
but
like
it's-
in that Tangle one, we were probably gonna do a lot of the labor, but we're not necessarily proposing to do that because it's very time
Like-
consuming.
Ned said, we need the easement, we gotta have
Yep.
an MOU,
Yep.
it's gonna be difficult. Hopefully, Alan is not gonna be booked. It looks like everything's falling in November 2019, if I can read this correctly.
They'll be
It's
buttoned up by then.
busy time for the town with
It
getting
is.
plows and everything ready, so you guys better be working together.
We are.
Okay.
Ned, help me understand, if a private property owner doesn't want to cooperate, it defaults then to them, right? Because of the stormwater issues?
It's gonna default to them and default, they'll be essentially thrown to the wolves at the state, which is gonna essentially mean there'll be a lien on the state will come in, essentially do it
And put a lien on their property?
and put a lien on their property, making it essentially, and I know Stan's laughing because the state's threatened to do this and has not done it in the,
They define it as the RDA, Residual Designation Authority, and they say that it could be faster, more difficult, and more expensive if they choose not to cooperate with the
So
municipality.
are we saying we won't give them a certificate of compliance if somebody wants to sell our piece of property?
I'm not gonna comment on what the zoning administrator will do or not do at this point. Well, I'm just not gonna do it. I don't generally do it for anyone, so.
So we don't have anything, really.
I didn't say that. I said I wouldn't comment on what the
well-
zoning administrator says at this point.
Hey, I got a question for Alan. Alan, you've been to these places and you understand the scope of work what's gotta be done?
I've driven Tanglewood. I've worked with Ned on pricing out the ditch work and the road work part of it. A couple of the ponds up near the hospital I have looked at. Those are projects that have to be done late fall. We're very capable of doing those.
I know you're capable, but can you fit it into your schedule?
Well, my question before we get to that
Because
is,
if you don't, the price changes.
does.
how many of these projects are we a party to? Are we co-permittees?
I'd have to check on that. I would say because of the volume of roads involved, that we're co-permittees to almost all of them in some way, shape, or form, because the percentage of co-permittee.
I can tell you what, in Tanglewood is 50%. I can tell you that right now. We did that years ago.
Yeah, we're,
Okay, now, my next question is, how do we ensure that the cost of doing this is appropriately apportioned? And how do we get that back? That all has to be in the MOU, and
it's gonna be in the MOU, and that's gonna
I
be
got,
the,
you know, it's a lot of it, it's going to be, it's, you know, we
Yeah.
don't know, and this and that. We have to nail this down, Ned.
oh, no, I agree. We have to nail this down, and it has to be an absolute. Yours is X percent, and there you go.
Let me ask you, what's holding up the MOU?
Just time, and, you know, time enough for me to get out there and get it going. I was trying to get the town plan up and going, a couple other things up and going, and it's just time.
So are we a little premature on this without the MOU? Because we don't have a full understanding of cost and everything?
Actually, we're not really approving anything at this time. We're just saying, here's an update, here's what's
Okay,
going on.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think, to Stan's point, the update keeps getting further
I-
and further
I-
out,
I-
and there are big gaps in my mind. And we can't be hanging out there.
I agree, and I'm concerned, and I need to get on top of this and get it going.
So, nail it down, now that the plan is done. You're gonna,
I agree. This is gonna be top priority.
okay, now I don't want to steal your thunder, but keep going.
No, that's okay. I mean, and getting the contractor on board for the consulting engineering was a top priority in the, over this month and a couple other things. The other thing that,
Before we get off of stormwater, as part of the MOU, are we going to work something in about long-term maintenance? A lot of these projects,
yes, that'll be part of the MOU process.
Yeah, because there's yearly inspections that have to be done to these.
right?
Actually, there's gonna be biannual inspections.
Okay. Well, to Brendan's point, that's also a cost factor.
Yeah, it is.
Do we know, like, maintenance, are we gonna allocate some of that to our Department of Public Works? Or are they gonna be responsible for contracting it out? Have we gotten that far with them?
It'll, more than likely, it'll be site-specific, where Tanglewood, because it's on private property, part of an HOA, there'll be some sharing of expenses, but they'll be in charge of it,
No.
in essence, with us doing an inspection to make sure that it has
In
done.
actuality, these have to be checked after every major storm.
Oh, yes.
Yep. That could add up quick.
Does that lend into the, and I'm not trying to open the can of worms, but does that lend into, like, the maintenance and the checking and all that? Does that lend into a stormwater utility at some point? Is that what that's for, or?
That's what it's lending into in other communities. It's going, essentially, all the other communities are either already have an existing stormwater utility like Burlington and South Burlington, and I think Shelburne's just putting one
Colchester.
together, and Colchester. The city's just going through the process now of also adopting theirs and starting it up. It's, the writing's on the wall, or that's the way to go, because then you start charging fees, you start having a revenue process so that you can maintain these and keep them up and going and keep personnel so that they're out there and garner the expertise that you need.
It's gonna be a battle.
I'm assuming it's gonna be a 20,
And there's more to come. I mean,
There's-
most
there's 20 years to come.
of your new developments that you're putting in now all have them. So this is gonna be,
I mean, we have ones
that's
that
gonna
run
be
back.
quite the,
It is.
Yeah, we have permits that are as part of the MS4 project area that run back to the mid-'80s. So we've got a very, very big thing to deal with. And it's gonna take a long period of time, like I said, 20 years.
So really, the question for me becomes, do we need more staff?
We will eventually need more staff once the utility is, or if a utility comes forward and other things start coming forward, in my opinion, we should evolve into it slowly and over time, and it'll be completely obvious when we need additional staff and who and what and where. But how many and when, I would assume
understand
we
that, but-
will, but that's for the future.
Now, if you're heading towards a utility, that's really a financing tool.
Right.
Correct.
That's a completely different kettle of fish. And of course, obviously, people have to vote on it,
Correct.
so it's quite an undertaking.
And it would, the utility revenue would replace essentially what we've programmed into the general fund already?
Into the capital fund.
Utility
and
would be
Understand.
basically a taxing, and I use the term loosely, entity unto itself,
Right.
in order to get the necessary funds to meet the obligations as we go
cover
forward.
the overhead.
Right,
Yeah.
Operating expenses and overhead, right.
absolutely,
As long as we've got the money coming in to pay for the extra help, I don't have a problem with that.
yeah.
No money
But,
coming
yeah,
in,
but everything,
we got a
the
problem.
target is so much of a moving target right now, I just wonder how this is going to
It,
focus in later, I don't know.
you know, this is like getting, this, my mother has joked this year, you're like at the top of a funnel. You're still sort of shifting around. You got to aim for that middle of that
I thought you
funnel.
were going
and-
to tell me it's like nailing jello to a wall.
Yeah, it's a difficult process to get through these early stages that are somewhat loose and get
That's
everything
why we're
firmed
trying
up.
to help you right along here,
Oh,
Ned.
I know. I need that push from behind to keep me going.
Next thing.
Okay, what else you want to tell us about?
On Tuesday evening last week, we had a very good meeting here. We had about 35 to 40 people here in the room to talk about the bicycle
Thank you.
pedestrian study that runs north along Route 7.
Jeepers.
Excuse the dampness.
More
Little
coffee.
tree on this one.
Mark, there's a little
Thank
less
you.
coffee on this one.
Thank you.
Wait till you see this.
And anybody else?
Not right now, but I will get one.
They went through the early stages of the existing conditions along Route 7 and and some basic alternatives on what, in terms of bicycle and pedestrian improvements. could be placed out there with either little or no effort or some minimal amount of effort. The one overriding thing that both the city and ourselves mandated that they do, that it would be within the existing public right-of-ways. No additional purchases of right-of-way.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Some places that's gonna be kinda tough, isn't it?
it's going to be, in a couple of places it is going to be tough. I've joked around on how we can get some of those things to fit. We're going to have to call things differently, call them differently and spec them out differently because we won't be able to fit things like, a sidewalk in front of Maple City Diner. We're not going to be able to get something in there that's 5 foot wide. We might be able to get something in front of it that's, say, 3 feet wide, so we have to call it a median. But in terms of design, it's going to essentially work as a sidewalk.
But, and going along those lines, there's also a big safety factor there too.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're putting in something 3 feet wide, people can't walk side by side.
no,
A bicyclist wobbles a little bit.
actually, the
They get
cyclist,
hit by a car coming out of the diner. So-
I agree. The one good thing about the plan is it appears as though the pavement width with some restriping is sufficiently wide enough, except for a couple of small places, to add at least a 3 or 4 foot bike lane along the whole corridor to the existing paved surface. So we lucked out that way. So, and then they went through all of the various stages that they go through in one of these studies. And
Isn't there a standard for sidewalk widths
Oh,
within the city?
there
There
are.
is a standard.
Yeah, it's 5
So
foot
how do
wide.
how do you get a 3-foot sidewalk?
Well, you don't put in a sidewalk. You call it a median, but you install
Yeah,
it.
this gets a little nonsensical.
Yeah,
Sure does.
We call it something else, but it's meant to be this. You're just playing games as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you're opening yourself up for a lawsuit
Nuts.
too, if something
It's
happens.
nuts.
We've got when we had this meeting, the biggest thing that jumped out to me is we've got so many businesses on Route 7, whether it's the Domino's, the two diners, the Messenger, Hungerford Plaza, that if we went in and installed a green belt and a 5 foot sidewalk, I mean their frontage, their parking that they've it might be within the right of way and it might be publicly owned, but it's served as a parking lot for decades, and they're going to get the raw end
You're
of
not
that
gonna,
deal.
you're gonna be hampering with their business.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's not what we're out to do.
correct.
And when I asked the consultant about that, I said, "What are you going to do?" And the question came from the audience. So when are you going to talk to the business owners? And what I got from the consultant was, we're going to talk to the community and see what the community wants. And after we figure that out, we'll go and figure out how to fund it. And then we'll go to the business owners. And I was, what are you talking about? Go to them now.
I have spoken to,
Go ahead.
outside of
You
the
know
meeting,
my question.
I have spoken to a couple of the business owners, and in terms of fitting something in there, the first thing that I would drop was the green belt, because some of those places it's just not really going to survive. So we can put in a sidewalk. They may lose 2 or 3 parking spaces so that it would fit in there. We would also be able to consolidate some of the driveways and rearrange some things so that it would work out a little more smoothly.
You know what
But
3
it
parking
is-
spaces is to a diner?
Right?
It's money.
That it is, but they don't, because it,
I won't interrupt you again.
yeah,
but
no, I understand. It's,
It's just you're trying to force something.
Wait,
Alan's got
let's not
something to say.
they're in our public right of way and they've not been paying for it for years. So let's put it into a justice sense.
Well, if you
They
want,
are on our property without any due process.
well, to put it in legal terms, if they've been there so many years,
That's
they,
not for,
they probably own it by the right of adverse possession. So we don't have much of a leg to
not
stand
so,
on.
not with municipal property.
Well,
you can't do that with governmental property, cannot be possessed by adverse possession.
all right,
It's
all right.
Vermont state law.
Fair enough, but that's not gonna make it easier. Go
Take care
ahead. Go
of your
ahead.
business.
Ellen wanted to say something.
I just, I missed this meeting, but I had gone to the other one. When we dropped them to 3 foot, how are we gonna maintain those?
I'm assuming the 3 foot ones would not be maintained during the winter time, because it will be impossible to get a piece of machinery up there.
What's the point?
Shovel.
Yeah.
And now you have here on this thing, we need a bicycle and pedestrian policy ordinance. We're working on a draft that includes an impact fee. Can you tell me what that's about?
We already have a bicycle and pedestrian
500-foot.
policy document with the master plan. We haven't developed an impact fee, and we haven't even started to talk about that yet.
Ned, isn't this a plan that's something like 1,000 feet above the
Yeah.
issues? We're
These are-
looking down now,
yeah.
just identifying potential problems that we
Yeah.
have to solve, not today at this meeting,
Right.
Right.
but with the consultants over the future.
Yeah, we
So
still
let's
have to
move
go.
on.
We still have to go.
Well, hang on a minute. They're talking about impact fees, which is a pretty significant cost impact for people.
We're not even
So-
there yet. We can't predict
Well, you
that.
still ask questions.
Oh, well.
I mean,
Oh, well, yeah, watch out for those.
Keep micromanaging, Bill.
Now,
these are alternatives and not specifics at this point.
yeah, but, they get a life of their own, as you know.
Oh, they very much could.
And how many more, are there any other public meetings scheduled?
There'll be at least 2 more, maybe 3, and this would be the first study of at least the first of 2 studies. The next would be the design and the engineering part of it, and then that would lead into a construction project.
You had a really good turnout.
Yeah.
The last meeting, and it got a lot of publicity.
Oh, it sure
So
did.
it got a lot more people thinking.
Did.
So just as a suggestion, you might want to plan the next one at a different location,
Yeah.
That's true.
because this one is good. This place is gonna be a little
It
too
was
small.
there was standing room only, I
Yeah.
heard, so.
Well, actually, we had an original one planned for this one planned for the city auditorium, but we got the boot out of there because it was
The
primary-
city auditorium?
yeah.
Use Collins Pearlie or something, use the
Well,
school.
We defaulted to here because we wanted to have it.
Oh, I understand, but next time I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a bigger one.
Anyway.
Other places,
Bigger.
yeah.
One
So, yeah.
one of the neatest parts of the study that we could actually look at right now was the rail trail portion. Started on page 45, and they looked at how to, better access and parking availability to use the rail trail, and that's something that is an immediate need. So if you guys have a moment to go through it in the next week or two and want to look at something, that would be the first thing I would suggest. Just because they've got some really neat sketches, and that was something that really got people excited in the meeting that I noticed.
And this is supposed to be done this fall, right? After
Yes,
those,
it will be
after those
done. It'll
meetings.
be done by Thanksgiving time. Yes,
What will be done by Thanksgiving?
the study will
This
be completed.
feasibility
Yeah.
study.
Oh, the next level? Next
No, this level will
whole
be done by.
grant.
whole-
This,
My wife and I use the road trail. I've never had a problem parking behind a diner up there,
well,
starting up there.
the problem with that is,
There's gotta be a better.
yeah, it's got to be a better way to get it in there. Consolidate that entrance. The entrance, somehow get all of the entrances to Maple City, the entrance to that parking lot, and the entrance to whatever
Messenger.
the Seymour Road, I think it is, or
Yeah.
Sheldon Road
Seymour.
there, and the parking situations at the Messenger into some designed, easily observed, rather than sort of people flying off there, sort of cutting through what would be obviously the Messenger's parking lot and zipping up the road, but also a clear sign that would say, here's the bike paths parking. Because years ago, I came up here with my brother to ride the rail trail, and we looked at, that said parking, and we started up the street and never, because we started up next to the Messenger, we started up and continued on the street, never saw the parking lot, and never realized that we were supposed to drive up the trail. And,
Yeah.
with all those extra signs and a lot of other things, there needs to be some redesign there, because it's too many entrances and potentially starting to get unsafe. The one thing the study doesn't mention that it should have mentioned is the parking, although it doesn't say it, is going to be designed to allow snowmobile trailers to come in and at least loop the block. It will take the
Trailer?
snowmobile trailers. So, a truck pulling a larger trailer behind it will be able to loop the block at least and provide some minimal amount of parking there. Because right now, they sort of park wherever they can, and I've noticed some of them are able to sneak in there depending on how the snow is, or it's gonna be more fully designed to account for the trailers.
This winter, I saw more people crossing Route 7 at the diner over toward the car lot. More snowmobile traffic
Yeah.
there than I've ever seen before.
So what you skipped over, you might want to touch on briefly, is the impact fee update.
The impact fee is going along nicely. We have another draft. I think you've been given a copy of the August 13th, draft. It's a draft. It's still, as the text says, that it is missing pieces. The biggest thing is the conclusions at the end that has the suggested new impact fees. It has the calculations and the formulas for each impact fee cost center aside from the school, and that it'll have a final summary at the end. It'll have all of the impact fees laid out, comparing old to new.
You will have that in here?
Uh,
Comparison?
It will,
It's 40 pages.
yeah, it will, the
I
final
would like
report,
just to see current plan
right.
and the what's the,
The one key reminder is that the impact, any change up or down, albeit interesting, is somewhat irrelevant. It has to be based on the formula and new costs or assumed costs and various items on what we need. So some could, double or triple, and other ones could shrink by a similar amount. So it has to be based on facts and put through the
I
formula.
looked at some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty clear it has to be fact-based.
yeah.
I mean, it can't be pie-in-the-sky stuff.
Yeah, no, but, some people get very upset that, one went from $1,000 and now it's $250. Well, it's based on cost centers and how things are allocated and things like that. And there's, has to be a clear, factual, mathematical basis.
Logic's gotta be there.
Oh, it's gotta be, absolutely. They'll take us apart in court if it's not.
But we don't look at ours until September?
We have a working meeting I think it's early October.
And so a draft should be to you
No,
complete.
no, no. We don't look at our capital improvement plan till when?
We had been looking at it in the fall, but we changed that to look at it in the spring so we could have planned for the year, and that was what our 4/12.
We do it this spring?
That's what our 4/12/2018 meeting was about, yes. Capital improvement planning, setting priorities.
Oh,
Yeah, you're right.
okay, so, but we didn't ask for any additional funding.
We did not at that time, that is
No.
correct.
But when I looked in here, I see the boat is in the capital improvement plan for the fire department.
I'm not sure what you're referencing, but I mean,
Oh,
we
there's
have
a chart in here that, for the items that we approved for the capital improvement plan. And the boat is there. It's got.
The boat, I thought you said the bulk.
The boat is there.
Okay.
It's got 10 years of life left with a fund attached to it. One of the pieces that we're gonna have to replace at 10 years down the road. So, I know I never talked about it, and we just bought it, so how did it get in the plan? I thought we were,
We talking about the old boat?
I think
no, I'm talking about the brand-new boat. The old boat was never in the plan.
It was a while ago, it just got, so we can talk about that, but the data they used was our current stuff plus going forward.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not aware of the current stuff. I wasn't here, and then I'm here because we did the 5 items that we prioritized, but we didn't add anything to the capital improvement plan, per se.
items.
Usually when we do a capital improvement plan, we look at item by item, truck by truck, excavator by excavator.
We haven't done that in a while since that last capital
My
program.
last year was here, we done it. I know we did
Yep.
in
Yes,
2016.
the capital program was a 5-year plan, you're
But I
right.
see one in here with new stuff, particularly the boat. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious, how did that get there if we didn't have a plan?
These guys are pretty astute, and I know they're going through the planning commission meetings, and I'm assuming they're going through your minutes.
That's-
And I'm sure they saw that and
We can ask
threw
them,
it
I
in there.
can't answer that quickly, so. They have been working with all the department heads on
Yeah.
big ticket items, but so we don't have some sort of magic Christmas list or created, if that's what you're wondering.
So that's the,
Oh, that,
now go back.
They're doing this.
When, I don't remember when the plan was changed where we could take and not buy it by item, where we had the capital improvement plan. And here's a good example from what I was told. Well, you can add anything there without going to the voters. You can add a piece of capital equipment. I said, no, we wouldn't do that. We've got a list of, but here we did a boat, it's capital, and it shows up in the plan now that we gotta pay for, so how do we do that? The voters didn't approve it.
My guess is we've been trying to stay pretty fluid, and we told them we bought the boat, but we can ask.
Not only
Yeah,
that.
but I think,
the
Stan,
question-
I think what the issue now is, we ask for a certain amount of money for capital improvements. If something can fit in because of whatever, that we save some money somewhere else, you could possibly buy, a canoe without going to the voters. But I hear what you're saying, we
But
should
the
think
voters
through.
the voters wanna do the capital.
They're authorizing the total amount of money,
right.
No, they want it by pieces of equipment too.
but that's not what we voted for, that's not what we have now.
I know, but that what you have now wasn't always that way in the past, Al.
That's why, I know that, that's why we combined those funds and got
I
voter
think one of the
approval.
points is Stan has, maybe we should revisit this.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. We should.
Revisit the capital program
we're
or the
doing it.
impact, the capital improvement plan?
The taxpayers get a chance to say, yes, if we're gonna spend
Yeah.
$150,000, $200,000. The town taxpayers want to be able to say yes or no.
When you say town taxpayers, you talking about the 4% that shows up on these awful
Hey,
elections?
don't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if it's 1%, Al. It's the majority of the vote. That particular vote.
I thought we did it this way so we could be more expedient at
Right.
purchasing things.
We did.
And that we wouldn't miss out.
Yeah.
And at that time, everybody agreed that it might be a good idea.
Might be, but then we're finding out suddenly, maybe it's not, maybe it should be rethought. That's all that's being suggested.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And now
suggestion.
my question, and specifically, wasn't paying attention to this boat. On page 24 of this draft, there's a 2010 fire rescue boat. Now, what boat is that?
I believe that's the boat Stan was just talking
Yeah.
about.
The
The
one
boat
we
we
just
just
bought.
Yeah, I
One we
think it
just
is.
bought.
purchased,
Page 24?
24,
Yeah.
right at the very
No,
top.
This thing, RSG.
Yeah. Oh, I got the wrong.
Wrong. There may be something interesting on that page 24 too, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's the one we just paid $150,000 for.
110.
Well, the price reflects what we paid for it in the report. If you add a few of the miscellaneous fees. Paid like 120 with some change. I mean, it was 110 plus some delivery but about that.
Yeah, we had some work we had
All
to
right.
do. It's-
Mm-hmm.
Striped it.
So anyway,
That's all the voter was making a point with me about,
Yeah, I mean, that's why when we do the capital program, which is that one that you're talking about, where we set down and over 5 years try to spread out the expenses evenly, taxpayers certainly have input on that. But all of these things are planning documents and meant to be a little bit fluid. They're not hard, they're not law, they're guidance documents. So you guys certainly can look at it and decide if that isn't in fact what we want to do going forward. But that's what the program is. It's a 5-year planning document that's
Isn't
a
that
little
exact-
flexible.
Isn't that what we did with the last two pieces of equipment that Alan bought? I
It
mean,
it
we didn't
is.
go to the voters for that?
No,
It is, but I guess the point is that some of the feedback hasn't been positive on that. I have not gotten any of that negative feedback, but that doesn't,
We actually just voted on that the last time. to
the truck,
combine, like,
yes.
Well, the truck, but one of the articles was to combine all that
Yes.
money and not separate it.
So you didn't add to the fleet, did you?
We
I
bought a truck in
replaced.
another
You
article.
replaced.
I
This
replaced.
is adding to the fleet. The fireboat is an addition, another piece
I mean,
of
it's
equipment that
upgrading.
you gotta pay for and depreciate.
Well, we're kind of replacing the other boat, but that, when upgrading is
Yeah,
a
we got,
better word, I think.
That other boat wasn't in this plan at all.
Anyway,
Okay. So we're gonna get a draft more complete. It should be a complete draft mid-September, and the working meeting for the impact fee with a consultant, so you can ask him all sorts of questions, is the first Monday in October. I think it's the 8th,
It is something like the 8th.
but it's the first Monday. Well, it's not the first Monday.
it
It's
says
the
the 8th.
Okay, good. Because I think October 1st is our select board meeting, and the next Monday, so it's the second Monday, October 8th. Because we didn't have a regular select board meeting that night. So if anyone wants to provide input for that too, they
I
can
guess
do
the-
it.
The question, who gives the consultant the data with which to work?
That's what I was referencing earlier. We give the consultant the
Okay,
data.
so we don't have to wait to ask him. We can ask somebody here.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you. All right.
but the question was, how exactly did they get that information? And I'd like to talk to the consultant and the department head about how they got that information. So, sure. I mean, I don't think there's any conspiracy going on. I think we're just trying to make sure we get all the information in here. Recent information, too. Okay. No more questions for now?
So why don't we move on to warrants?
Thanks,
Okay.
Bud.
Hey, Ned,
Thank you, sorry.
I got coffee in this too. Did you drink any of it?
I didn't get quite as much as I would have preferred. I
No.
That's why he's shaky.
if I had known I would have ended up in my lap.
He has quite a
Yeah.
caffeine addiction.
They sell, there's a thing called a sippy cup.
Want me to pick up?
This is gonna be a personnel thing. We need to go into executive
Okay.
session.
General warrant.
All right, it's okay.
You gotta leave on a light note, you know.
I know. So the warrants?
Okay, so Stan has the general warrants.
I have the general warrants. There were 94 invoices for the week of 08/07/18 to 08/20/18 for a total of $86,907.70. The local regional organizations that we donate to accounted for 77% of that. The next big one was our health insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We pay $13,864. And what Ned was just talking about, Better Connection Grant, that was $15,180. So I make a motion to approve.
Okay, which was the largest donation?
The
Remember?
largest donation was probably Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation at
12.5?
12, yes.
All right, okay. Okay, so there's a motion made. Any questions, comments?
No.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. I've got the payroll warrants, if
Okay.
Stan's done.
Yep.
Okay, I've got two of them. The first one is July 30th through August 5th, for the sum of $20,521.42. The second one would be August 6th through August 12th for $19,202.75. Make a motion that we approve these two payroll warrants.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Brendan, you have some industrial park?
Yes, I have the industrial park warrant for today, August 20th, 2018. It's all the Green Mountain Power for sign lights, street lights, and the power to run the pump station for sewage. And the total is $654.28. I make a motion we approve it.
Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay. Al, you up to doing minutes?
Certainly, thank you. I move that we accept the August 13th, 2018 minutes of the Select Board. And in that part, I have just one question to Stan, basically. at the very bottom, the third line up, add another 30% on top of the defeated ballot for square footage. Did you mean, I'm not quite sure what you meant, for the square footage or just for the cost?
What's that?
Oh, on the minutes?
Well, I thought we were doing August 6th. You're doing,
Excuse me,
you're doing
August
August 13th.
13th, yeah, excuse me.
I got a lot of concerns with this, Al.
Okay,
Actually, when I got my packet and I didn't look at it until Friday. I hate surprises, and big surprise smacked me side the head. What I heard at that meeting, and we could have probably had everything resolved at that meeting, was Alan measured every piece of equipment, and that's what we need for a garage. We never had a rendering of the inside. I get a rendering of the inside, and I look, we got 3 offices and a meeting room, training center, conference room, whatever you want to have. And at the meeting, I said it's 30% more. It's going to be a hard sell. People in the past called it a Taj Mahal, and Bill spoke to the conference room. And everybody in the room, I guess, knew there was I don't know if you did, Bill?
No, not at all. It's the first time I'm
I
seeing
didn't
it.
know there was a conference room, and no one said anything
you mean in the new building?
in the new building that we're going to build. Somebody there must have known, but no one spoke up, and it upsets me.
We
I
didn't,
hate surprises.
it was
like
not, it's not really a conference room, it's a training room with a max occupancy of 30
hey.
people.
that. It's, you call them whatever you want.
Well, I think conference room implies something like this size, and it's smaller than
Conference
that.
room, training room, whatever you want to, learning center, call it what you want. It's
Yeah.
not part of Alan's work. It's not part of his work.
How is that true, though? We have to hold flagging classes, and, I mean.
I'm just telling you, it was a surprise. And if somebody would have said something that night, when every character was there that could talk about it, instead, no one talks about it. They talk about equipment going in, and that's all I'm thinking about is equipment. 3 offices, I didn't understand the need for 3 offices. So, that's where I am at. I'm not happy with it. It's gonna be a hard enough sell, and when I gotta sell a training room, almost impossible. So,
So
I'm
the
not
question,
happy.
the question I have though is not what the opinion was what the last meeting, but to this state, what did you mean by this the sentence?
I looked
30%
at the
more?
old building, the original building for whatever that price was.
Okay, so you were talking about price, not
Yes.
square foot. Okay,
Well,
so.
no, the
Well, you're
square
just
footage
trying
of
to
the
figure out the
building is
minutes
much
right
larger.
That's what
too.
he was trying to do,
Just
yeah.
the building. Yeah, that was just the building. It's
Okay.
roughly 30% more square footage.
I only calculated 15%, but it's neither here nor there. I'm just trying to find out what you said.
Well, it was 11,800 divided by 16,800, so that'll give you the square footage. It gives you your
Yeah.
percent.
Difference is, okay.
The key element in that discussion was everything was being rationalized and justified on the basis of need.
Yep.
This is what we need.
All I'm trying to do is correct the minutes.
All right,
Right now, I think we're going
fair enough,
into something else.
fair enough.
But it needs to be discussed, though.
Yeah, because right now I'm not supporting that need,
Okay.
22,000 square feet. I'm not
So
supporting.
do you want to finish the meeting, the minutes?
Yeah, so that's the only question I had on the August 13th minutes. And also move that we approve the August 6th minutes of the Select Board. And there I only have one correction, and that is on the very top under officials, staff present. We need, I'm not quite sure how you do it, but the town manager, Carrie Johnson, you don't need a comma after town manager. Right now, the way it's written, it looks,
Like
you
there's
either
two
need
people?
semicolons or eliminate colons, commas, or add semicolons between people and their titles. And then on public, Officer Jason Weatherby hits Lieutenant Jason Weatherby. And then finally, under motion A, Naxone was a major contributor to those deaths, overdoses. I think it's, Naxone contributes to saving people who have overdosed. It doesn't cause the overdose.
That is true, right. Lieutenant LT.
Yep.
It was a major contributor to saving those overdoses.
Right.
And you should spell out probably, well, I guess not. Whatever, it's fine.
So those are the only corrections I had to those minutes. Move, I move that the both be accepted.
Okay,
Which one? Both what, Al?
The minutes of the August 6th and August 13th.
Just on the August 6th.
Yep.
Just a question that comes to mind. Chief Taylor was here, and he's hurting in head count. And he said he would have it done by 4 more officers signed by 8/7. Do you know if he got 4 signed?
I did see him the next day at National Night Out, and he said he was successful in getting 4 people. I don't know when they're starting, but he said he had very successful meetings the next day. he
That's
said
good to
that.
hear.
Yeah, he was pretty excited about it on that National Night Out evening.
Everything's right, Al, I don't have a problem
Right,
with
just
it.
a
I just
question.
was curious about our largest
Okay.
contract.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Bruce. So the next item's kind of under you, but it's a little of both with Anna and I working with the auditors. You have before you a engagement letter from A.M. Peisch.
I move we authorize the chair to sign the letter.
Well, this is basically the same letter we have year in and year out.
That's right.
It is, in fact, yes.
And I will have my annual complaint. I don't think we have, the auditors do enough in testing our internal controls. And I keep saying I'd like to see that in there, that they actually go out and test to make sure the bills are paid correctly and the proper authorizations, approvals are there.
And so, well, that's okay. No, that's all right. I asked Chris Goulet about that, and it was in our engagement letter from last year, and they did begin additional testing, but because, for instance, on our purchasing policy and purchase order request, we had just started that policy, so this year he's gonna do more extensive testing. He's gonna do some testing on some other things that I'd rather not speak about publicly, but just some samples, and he said he was gonna do more extensive testing this year, but didn't need it to state so additionally in that engagement letter.
As
I
long
knew
as it's-
you'd ask, and I
As long as
asked.
it's done, I don't care.
Yep, but we're aware of it.
Time flies, it's like we just did.
I
this.
know, feels like we did just do it, but it's time again. Anna she's already started collecting stuff.
So you made a motion, Al?
Yes, to authorize the chair to sign the letter on our behalf.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Second item similar, if you want to come up and speak to that. They just can hear you better up here.
So, for years, we've had Dave Barra, I'm sure you all know Dave Barra, as the tax sale attorney. He was recently appointed to Superior Court Judge, so he can,
Good for Dave. Good.
yeah. So he sent me the letter, can't help you.
Okay.
So this is a firm that I'm familiar with, and I think you probably know Steve Dusham. He's a partner in there. And I think they'll serve the town well.
I'm also familiar with the firm. They represented Colchester extremely well and successfully. We won several cases at the Supreme Court level, so I have the absolute faith in them.
And the question came up earlier, but you might want to just affirm it, that when we charge, we have to pay the legal fees, we get those fees back.
I do attach them to the taxpayer. When they redeem, they're already added in, if they redeem.
So this is an open-ended appointment? No
Pretty
fixed term?
much. Pretty much.
Okay.
I try to have one every year,
A tax sale.
tax sale.
Yeah, but if we want to replace this firm, what do we have to do? Just tell them it's over?
I would tell them it's over, sure.
It kind of says that in the contract,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do they have
The
this?
contract. Under termination and agreement. Event, you will-
That's the additional engagements, right?
As you can see on your revenue sheets under
I was wrong.
delinquent
His
tax
termination
revenue,
agreement.
For
Other
them,
reasons.
Right.
if you look on your revenue sheets that I handed you, under delinquent tax revenue, you'll see that
It's a healthy balance.
it's very healthy. Not the best part of my job.
I wouldn't want to have to do it.
Saddened sometimes.
So, okay, if any, no other comments or questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
And authorize Bill to sign the letter,
I'm
wasn't
gonna
it?
abstain from that one.
Why? There's
One of their
state too.
attorneys was representing the town of Highgate when we had those couple of lawsuits. I'm having a hard time not being biased, but, so I'm just
Fair.
gonna
Okay,
abstain.
fair
That's
enough.
fair.
So, 4 in favor, 1 abstention.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The last one under Select Board is the Town Fair. It's hard to believe it's happening, but it is, beginning of October. I've often been the town representative. I don't have to be the town representative. I will be going to those meetings, as a member of the Vermont VLCT Employee Resource Board. It's always an opportunity. It's in Burlington, South Burlington to be specific this year, so it's not a bad drive if anyone wants to go.
So I would move that we appoint the town manager to be our authorized representative.
Did we, anybody on the board want to do it?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it.
What, to be the
Yeah.
the voter?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I've never been to one.
He can go without being voting. She's got all the
I
background.
think, no, he's
No,
got
that's
to
fine,
be
he
the
can go.
voter, right?
Yeah, he can go as the,
Voting?
as the voting delegate.
Yeah. he
It's just,
can.
it's a long,
Long
it's not that
process.
long. I don't want to undersell it. It's a couple hour policy meeting and you can debate things and the policy's in your packet if you want to read it.
Okay,
I'm fine with that if that's what he'd like to do. You want to go, Bill?
Sure,
He
why
does,
not?
he wants to go.
no,
A turkey dinner?
What?
Yes.
Can two people go?
You can go, 'cause I don't, you can go. I
can
don't,
always
you
go
can,
to
you
town.
can, I'll vote, you can have the dinner.
You can always go to town fair, actually.
Thanks for the
No,
I'm not crazy for
encouragement.
turkey, right?
He's the voting delegate?
Sure. I mean, that's what I
You gotta
heard.
submit your name, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a form in the signature thing. You just have to make a motion and,
So moved.
we have to do a resolution for, the other thing. I have it right here. So let's finish what we have on the table though. So the voting delegate for town fair. Need a
Motion to
motion?
appoint our chair, Bill Nyan, the voting delegate.
All those in favor?
Okay. October 3rd. Okay.
Did you vote?
All in favor?
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm sorry, who did we vote for, please?
Bill?
Bill.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And so we just need to go back one step. We also need a resolution, it's in your packet, regarding the collection of delinquent real taxes.
Pardon me?
There's a resolution that the attorney would like a motion and a signature. It's the last page of his proposal. And it's just a resolution stating that you're going to appoint them to be the,
Well, I think it was proposed that we appoint them, and then we voted in
What was it
favor of
in?
that.
What was it
you
in?
did,
It's
I
attached to
understand
the-
that. And then
Montague.
the last page of that engagement, they asked
Oh,
if you
yeah,
would
yeah,
sign
yeah,
a
yeah, right here.
resolution.
All right, so we sign it.
Last
Right
page.
here, no, I
So-
don't want you to sign the
so-
original one.
I'm not debating it, I'm just asking that you guys make sure you sign it and make a motion of that.
Several signature things in here.
Make a motion to do what? Sign it?
Do you need it? Okay, I think we're good then. Just make sure you sign them. I just want to make
Okay,
sure it's,
all right.
it's in the signature page. All right, done with that. We're moving on to the town manager report. First item was a request for renewal allocation. Request from JL Davis, JLD Properties of St. Albans LLC specifically. We have their previous application and the letter we send.
This is just a renewal
It is,
from a previous allocation.
yep. If you don't use it after a certain amount of years, they,
So in fact, they don't, it's not a matter if they have businesses for that property?
Pardon me?
That doesn't indicate that they have the business for that property?
No, that's what they're
They're just reserving-
allocating it for.
For, okay.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion if anybody does on this.
to approve his renewal request?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the renewal for the water wastewater disposal allocations and connections to the City of St. Albans municipal system for 10,500 square foot retail space, a 3,500 square foot dental office, and a 150 seat restaurant located in the approved unit development located at 454 Swanton Road on Tucker's Way. For jail, for
Not a
JLD.
JLD Properties
Okay.
of St. Albans.
Okay, so,
All those,
ready?
yep,
I can do it?
yep.
Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
It sure would be nice if we get those three businesses in there.
Yeah.
He's not for want of trying by him.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Excuse me a minute. Yeah.
So just help me, the water district up there, the park is not part of the water district?
Well, you know, he wasn't, they weren't a party to the Route 7, sewer thing,
They're not a party, okay.
I don't
No.
believe.
No, because remember, that's the big thing that Sam had going on in the new water allocations. He wanted them,
Right, I moved
To
that
pay.
part. Okay.
they're
I thought
they're
it,
basically paying right now. They're
I thought
aren't
it was
they?
just a
They're-
larger area.
Yeah.
paying back a
Yes, the bond.
bond. So,
Okay. So I'll move on.
Sure.
The next item was an update on the infrastructure development committee's work of last week. We did put some information in your packets. I didn't intend for it to be a surprise, as Stan stated earlier, but I got that floor plan at the end of the meeting.
who did the floor plan, Carrie?
Richard Cummings did it in discussions with Alan and I. I got it at the end of the meeting and thought it would be good for you to have. It certainly wasn't intended as a surprise, but one of the reasons that we supported putting a training room in there was for the numerous trainings the DPW has to hold. It's much smaller. And the offices were largely put in there because right now we actually have the need for one or two offices, given the foreman is doing something different sometimes than the Department of Public Works supervisor. And Parks and Recs often operates out of that building, our Park and Rec supervisor. And also, we anticipated possibly the need of a stormwater person that we alluded to earlier. So we figured with 3 offices, we could mix it up. We often have some online training. You could also still have the DPW guy have his, director have his job, office. And then somehow we'd work in Park and Rec and the stormwater person, part-time maybe even for a long time, but to have a home base other than the gatehouse at the Bay Park. So it certainly wasn't intended to be a surprise. I'm sorry it appeared that way, but there was a use for those.
We didn't talk about it at all.
No, we didn't talk about it. I don't
We
debate that
just
for a
talked
second.
about needs.
We did talk about
requirements.
needs, sure.
That
Yep.
was it.
And the need still exists, actually. So that's what, just to briefly talk, what we did talk about last week with the infrastructure committee and the select board was the agreement that we would put our facility on Brigham Road, that we would propose to put it fairly close to Brigham Road, but not right next to the road, obviously. That we would suggest a steel building, that we utilize municipal water and sewer, and that there was roughly a need for 22,000 square feet. And the need is explained in a bunch of different ways in the space needs analysis that was done in 2012, 13 by John Alden, and again reaffirmed by Alan and Richard.
Hey, Alan, I was thinking about the building and thinking about other things in town. But the lean-tos, the shed roofs that you got coming off the salt shed, would one of those bays be big enough to house the fireboat in the winter?
Be a little short.
Because that'd be a perfect place to put it instead of paying to have it stored.
I think they were gonna shrink wrap it and put it on our property, but we should think about that.
Yeah, it would be, if we put a fence up and everything, it certainly would be protected.
Yeah, so really the question is, how long is the boat and
How high is it on the trailer?
Yeah,
I think the height is there, but,
The boat itself is 26 feet.
okay, probably.
The trailer itself is pushing out close to 40 feet. And my overhangs were only gonna be 24 feet.
Okay. Just a,
I mean, if you wrap the front of the boat, you could have the majority of it undercover. It's not like the trailer has to
Yeah.
be undercover.
no, I was just wondering if we could save some money by storing it up there. I didn't know that we had planned on putting it up, maybe at the fire department.
could you put it in parallel?
You
Take
could
up
put
two
it in
spaces.
the other way probably, but
If
just
you had-
depends on what I have for storage.
Storage,
underneath
right, I
there,
understand,
right?
yeah.
You start
Just a-
losing 40 feet of your cold storage.
Just a thought, that's all.
I mean, you just extend the roof out a little farther on one side.
Oh, no, we don't wanna.
Anyway. Yeah,
If you
I-
factor in the price of shrink wrapping a boat every
Yeah,
year,
got it.
and you take the fact of taking a roof 2 extra feet, you'd be surprised it'd be a lot cheaper doing the 2 feet extra on your roof. Shrink wrapping a boat that size is very expensive.
I think putting almost 16% of the floor square footage of this building into 3 offices, a break room, and a training room is outrageous. The last time we did it was about 16% the same. And it's crazy. We don't need it. And the argument the last time was, well, we'd use the training room a few times a year. Well, there are plenty of other spaces available. I think, Alan, we have to go back. I noticed the date of this was the date we had the meeting. So that was, it wasn't available at the
Yeah,
meeting.
so as I said, I'm sorry when you left the room, I received that at the end of the meeting because I asked for a floor plan, so
Fair
that's
enough.
why that date, that's
Everybody asked for a
dated.
floor plan. They asked for a floor plan.
Yeah,
So we
I'm
didn't
just-
see it. That's all I'm saying. And
Yeah,
what I'm saying is, until I feel comfortable with it, I won't feel comfortable until you really go through and give me a good needs analysis. I do not think in our plan now, we need to have a stormwater or person's office there. That should be right here, right now. And who knows how that's going to evolve. I mean, this is what looking. I think you're reaching, or somebody's reaching to try to rationalize this, and I find that unacceptable.
So we did the space needs analysis before. You don't really want to pay for another one. You just, well, so what would be a preference, like one office then, perhaps?
I don't know what you need. That's what the whole point of it.
So you're just saying,
But we did just,
sit down and write out bullet by bullet by bullet why this particular square space is needed.
You've given analysis, your space needs for the trucks, the wash bays, and all of that stuff.
Yep.
It's the 16% that's the sticking point. And I just think that's, too rich, particularly after the last go-around.
I'll help you.
okay, that's fine.
Anyway, Yeah, 'cause,
We got beat last time, Bill, badly.
yeah, tell me
It
about
wasn't, I don't think it was that badly. It was 100 votes out of 700.
No,
And
no.
yeah, we had it in our last packet.
I didn't bring it, but I thought it was like 200 votes.
No, it was definitely not.
Even if it was one vote, we got beaten.
That's correct. It didn't pass, but
Oh, the-
I don't think to
The salt shed
characterize
was
it.
very close, 30-something
Yeah.
votes, but the other was, I thought it was worse.
No, that's okay.
248 good to
Yeah, I'm not gonna count it.
30-something.
That much.
Doesn't matter. We can-
Right, it
That's
doesn't
fine.
matter, it's defeated.
Correct, and
And,
so
uh,
we need to study it.
And last time too, we had the planning commission against us. They were making phone calls saying, don't support it.
Correct. We just all need to rally around one project, and if we need to
But we
do
gotta
that,
do it right. If we don't do it
Yep.
right, we're gonna get beat.
I'm a big proponent of the move, but I want to
am
do
too.
something that makes sense.
Sure.
I think you guys are looking at the office space and everything kind of in the wrong direction. You got to realize that above all of that space is a loft and it's housing the storage. So let's say we wiped out all the office and training room. The square footage of upstairs is our sign room, which is a 10 by 30 foot trailer right now outside. Our grass seed and mulching stuff that's in the cold storage is going to be up above. Our tires spare room that's in the gray building, those tires will be up above. So what I'm saying is the square footage
Where are the tires located now?
out in the gray building,
On the ground level?
yes.
You're not gonna put those heavy tires upstairs, Alan. No.
With
way.
a cement mezzanine you would. They're rubber tires,
They're still heavy.
I realize that,
With
but
them, somebody would get hurt, I'll guarantee you. I've done it, I've been there.
the whole idea is you had a loading gate at the top, everything is palletized, and you use the forks to bring it down. But nonetheless, let's just say you wipe out your 3 offices, break room, utility room, training room, drop everything down. Now you're gonna force the building to go a little bit farther to put in a lunchroom, utility room, and an office.
No, you can put it in there, but can't you make it smaller? Bill never said to do away with the break room. Or
The break room is
That's true.
actually smaller than what we
Never said
have right now in
You
the
can
new
put it
design.
overhead there,
What's that? I didn't
over
hear.
your office space, the break room space, your kitchenette, whatever you have. You can still put your storage over that, can't you?
But what I'm saying is the square footage is the dimension that we have right now. I mean, we can
If you
relook
had
at
right
it,
now,
but
what would you do? That's what we're saying.
Hey,
How
Alan,
how would you make it work?
But it goes back to the first question is, what do you need? And if you need X number of square feet, that's what you put there, and if you get a mezzanine out of it for storage, that's fine. But what
Well-
do you need? I mean,
originally when I looked at that and I talked to Richard Cummings, we went longer. That allowed me to put racking on the back wall to have the tires and all of that. But because the square footage and the way that it sat on the lot, the building wasn't gonna work. So that's why he made it shorter. And by doing that, we have drive-through bays. That doesn't allow me the wall space to do the racking like I originally was gonna do.
we still got drive-through bays?
Yeah.
anyway, I think you need to put a fine pencil to the need argument. Something that makes sense, and bearing in mind that 16% of your square footage is for ancillary uses. And also bearing in mind, we got shot down last year because of
The square footage of this building came in less than the last building.
no, I'm talking percentage, the percentage.
No, I understand that. But I mean, housing more equipment with less square footage than the last building. The square footage looks different because of the salt shed.
No. The salt shed's not in here.
The last building I owned was 11,800 square feet. This one is 16,200 square feet.
6,820,
So
I think.
it's
16,820.
just DPW, not salt included.
Yeah.
Just hire smaller people.
Yeah, but you required more equipment since we did the last
Yeah,
one.
that's why the square footage is a lot larger.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the rationale that's the issue.
So the other question at this point was what we decided to do was move forward and get more details, put out some RFPs, and what I'm suggesting is I'd like to hire a project manager to get them on board now to facilitate that and also make sure they're intimately familiar with our RFPs so they can help ensure compliance. We talked about a project manager, and they might furiously work a little bit and then do nothing until, the vote, but I'd like to get somebody on board to help facilitate this. We can do a lot of it, Alan and I will, but I don't pretend to be a project manager by trade.
I thought Richard said he would have most of that building done
He is
to the
going to.
detail that Tom Barden had. That's taken care of, that piece.
Yep, there's 4 major parts here. One of them is site work, the other is the salt shed.
But why can't Alan do that? I mean, it's just building a road, right?
No, actually, when I talk site work, I'm including the road, all utilities, and how they dovetail in with the person who's building the actual building, the shop itself.
Who,
I think like we've got enough information, Carrie. Why don't we just give it to, why don't we put an RFP out and just let the design folks handle it?
What design folks
Well,
handle?
you're gonna put an oh, excuse me, we're going out for engineering now, not for
Well,
design.
there's 3. There's one, like Stan said, we're gonna go out to bid for a steel building, and Richard did say he would help with some detailed lists of what we want to have in there, so we'll get what we want.
Okay, can I say something before you go any further? I've got a concern there.
Okay.
Okay, is Richard aware that because of his involvement in pricing and everything, that he won't be able to bid on this building?
What? Why not?
How can you design a building and price it and bid on it? You can't. It's distinct disadvantage to the other bidders.
Well, they're gonna have all the same information.
No, No, Al.
Aren't we specifying almost everything?
No, you can't. You take a guy that's laid the building out, that's priced the building out, that's done this, the site work, that has a connection with a metal framing company like he does, and you're gonna bid it out, and you're gonna put it out to other people to bid and call it fair? No way.
Okay,
No way. No way under God's green earth is that fair.
and if there's some concern with me being Richard's brother-in-law, I'll back out right this minute if there's any concern.
I, for one, will have a big problem with that.
I'll back out if you've got a problem.
Well, I do have a problem.
With me.
No, I don't have a problem with you. I got a problem with
With the process.
the process. You
I
can't, ethically, it's not right.
I hear you.
And I hope we're not leading Richard to think that, that we're going for a Butler building with Richard. That's all I'm saying.
There have not been any handshakes. It's just, that's one of the reasons I wanted an independent project manager to help us write the
Because,
specifications.
in all fairness, he's put a lot of his time and efforts into this.
He has.
And I'm sure that he's gonna want the opportunity to bid on it. And ethically, I don't see how he can.
It's a legal question. Let's ask.
Would there, instead of hiring, you're talking about hire a project manager and keep somebody like that on as a full-time employee?
Oh, no, just time and material. I mean, just a as-needed type thing.
to oversee the project
Yeah.
as it occurs.
As an owner's rep.
No,
Yeah, owner's rep.
she wants a project manager now to do the RFP.
Well, that'd be one task of.
Right, but I mean, not as a full-time employee, just as a time and material type person. When we need them, they will work. They might do nothing for a month or two as we wait for the vote, but
Same thing we did last time.
What does this person do?
what would the person do?
Yeah, in the meantime, when we're not using them.
Other projects?
Not for us. For
Not
other
for
people.
us, no.
For other
Most of them
people.
are in the business, Bill.
And they just,
And
they,
several customers
Yeah.
that we work.
Fine with me. I mean, I think,
oh yeah, no, they usually have,
or you could hire an engineering firm to do it, or could you?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's what I was
Right.
saying.
Right, Peter Cross, TC, Sam Ruziano? No?
usually you get a slightly better rate per hour with a project manager because they,
Know the business.
well, they know the business and they don't necessarily have the overhead. I mean, they're often independent or small offices, but I mean,
Well,
it's,
that's why you bid
Go
it.
out to bid and see.
yeah, exactly.
Go out to
We
bid.
did 3 years ago, and that's where I got that information from. They ranged from 75 to 150 an hour.
You can bid it to the bigger firms and you can bid it to.
Just didn't want to do it without support for actually hiring them. Bottom line, because I don't want to waste money and their
we-
time.
we got time. Why don't we just bid it
Yeah, bid it out
and do it the right way?
right.
So to her point, if we get a bid back, we will hire the appropriate
Of course,
bidder.
that's why we're doing it,
Right.
yeah.
We'll pick
Okay.
one of them to do
We'll
it.
Right,
evaluate
I just
it.
want to make sure that we were just like, not, okay, bid on it and then we'll see what they look like.
Oh, no, 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 no,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And you already have 4 names.
Right.
We do, from the last time.
Good.
Are there more? You could, reputable
Oh, absolutely.
firms.
We will put a public bid out. I'm not gonna just send it to those 4.
All right. So that, is everybody agreed on this?
Certainly,
think it-
absolutely.
Okay, so
Would that alleviate
Perfect.
some of your concerns?
consensus
with
without a
Richard?
vote.
No?
That's
we don't.
fine.
You
I-
want to vote?
You
I don't
Richard-
Still
need
can't
one.
bid on this.
All right, so anyway.
Nope. Okay, we're done, that part. The next part here is obviously related. As part of securing some of these permits and just to get things going, I'm like to request a water and sewer allocation for the DPW garage. And I do have an updated version of that request. You have the letter from the engineer
Oh, okay.
Trudell, yeah.
stating what we needed. And I have these that I reworked with some suggestions from Bill. Should be 5. If it's not here, you can have one of mine. And the responses were similar to others we've seen come in. And on questions A, the ones that say more than a single answer are feedback from Bill. And so clearly this one, just like the other allocation, would be, the cover letter would be our generic, letter from the town. By forwarding this request, the town is not recognizing blah, blah, blah. And so we would cover it with this.
I don't think they'd want our
question.
DPW in the city.
Pardon?
They might.
What?
Now, the first
have a-
question.
they
Would they
site.
want our DPW in the city? Sure they would.
Alan, I have a question. I think maybe Trudell got some of that information from you. I know they did. The 125 gallons per truck. And do we, when we send a permit to the state, we say 5 trucks, 800 and something gallons per day, but we only use it, I think, maybe you gave them 35 days out of the year where we wash a single truck.
I didn't really tell him the 35, I gave him the gallons per truck. I think he tried to do an estimate. It's just tough depending on the winter. I mean, we keep having these little straggly storms. We could be washing trucks 4 times a week.
That's the salt, washing
That's-
salt off.
yes.
Regular truck is gonna be a lot less.
Oh, definitely. During the summer, we have all paved roads, so the trucks aren't gonna be like getting dirty and you're not gonna have to
How
wash
do
them.
we get a good gallons per day?
It's an
Every
estimate.
winter-
Or do we have to use the highest?
I would go the highest. I think nonetheless, I mean,
That's a
the
tough
point
one,
taken is, I think we're trying to determine, do we go to the city sewer, or we try using a storage tank? And I think,
You know, I wanna know what your water usage is, regardless of where it's going.
It's just an estimate though, and that's what they were trying to narrow
yeah,
down.
Wait,
to
wait,
be
just-
honest, I,
To Stan's question, we have a well now at the town garage?
We use water from the
we have
lake.
a well or the lake.
Or we don't measure it at all?
Not
No,
really,
it's
no.
not metered.
So, but if we send to the city, would we measure how much we're discharging? Or we know it's coming in, so we would measure it coming in?
Well, because you get,
We have a meter.
you get based on how much water you use.
Right.
So if we're hooked to municipal water, we're gonna have a water meter. So, I mean, whatever amount of water we're using, we get charged for discharging.
Right.
You should check with Milton. That's what they use. I mean, they got about the same size operation.
Do they wash
I mean,
trucks too?
I think it's safe to say you're gonna use between 100 and 150 gallons of water per truck, per washing. It's just a matter of, you gotta realize we'll have 6 plow trucks out, so
Yeah.
it's just depending on how many times in the winter are we washing it.
Right. But like on
Well,
this,
depends on
the
what kind of
5
water
truck
you have.
washers at 125 gallons out, Alan, and they're saying 560 gallons per day. Now, that's per day, 300 days or 2,000, whatever the days per week, 5 days a week times 52 weeks. Is that a good way to calculate it?
Not really.
I
I
guess,
mean, it just depends on the winter. I
I understand,
I would-
we're going to go to the state for a permit.
What if you took 6 months as opposed to 12 months divided by 6 months? That covers winter from November to
I would say at
April.
least 5 months, yeah.
Yeah.
We'd like it to be only 5.
So you're gonna need at least 2 EUs from the city.
Yes.
you're only gonna pay for what you use.
No.
You have to,
Permit's
you
gonna be.
No.
you have to pay your EUs. It's a flat fee.
Oh, you do?
You pay a flat fee, you pay
Flat
for
fee
the other
plus.
EU that they didn't use.
Plus
Okay.
anything you use over here.
Okay. Wow.
It's hefty.
But I don't think we have an option because I think if you put it in the storage, we're gonna spend a lot of money pumping those tanks all the time. And we can't put it into the mountain
No, I'm
system.
not saying.
We've already
Yeah, we've,
talked
Got
about that. I
beyond
think
that.
now it's just what number do we put on the
Oh.
permit?
I think 2 EUs is probably gonna be where we gotta be.
Why don't we check with Milton, as Bruce suggested, and then do our own calculations using, let's say, 6 months of the year, winter, and then whatever you wash the trucks in the summertime, I assume maybe once every 2 weeks or something.
You know what we did at the Milton High School, for what it's worth? We have an irrigation system there. There's 9 sports fields that are irrigated, and we have city water, and we didn't want to have to pay that water bill, right, to irrigate the fields, plus the 500, 600 kids that you have in the school. So we drilled a well just for irrigation, and we use well water to irrigate the sports fields. And we also use the rainwater that comes off the roof, goes into a holding tank. And when the holding tank level from the rainwater goes down, the well water kicks in and fills the tank back up again. And we have an endless amount of water that we use that we're not paying for that. They paid initially about $8,000 to have the well dug. You could do the same thing for your washing your cars for non-potable water, and save a bunch of money on water payments.
Worthwhile
You're still
exploring.
gonna, because if you're, I don't think it's gonna work because you're still set to the sewer and you get charged on whatever you bring in through the meter.
Right.
So if you bring in 1,000 gallons through the meter, you're getting charged for 1,000 gallons going into the sewer.
And we could estimate now and revise it later, but I think we should at least ask for it.
Well, you gotta come
Get
up
that.
with a number. I mean, and it's a tough one to come up with.
We can
So-
amend this later.
I think Alan is Why not take Alan's word for it? He's the one that does it. I mean,
No, we just want to get the application going,
yeah.
That's right.
and then we can fine tune it as you
That's
get more
correct.
information.
Yep.
So let's go with Alan's numbers.
Okay.
But those are the numbers that, even the ones that Trudell here has going to St. Albans is still gonna equate to 2 EUs, so you're gonna pay for it. 450 gallons per EU?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so, so you're asking for 900 gallons.
I can call Milton or a couple other towns, it just depends if they're metering the water when they're washing.
The thing that bothered me the other night was, when Mike Goslin was here, not that that bothered me, but when he said that we need to get the town, Maple Run, to give us permission
School, yeah.
to do the tying into the sewer.
It's because, I got a meeting tomorrow with Joe Peon. I actually just saw him before I got here. And, to talk about an easement getting across his property. He has a short little section, and that's what Mike Goslin was talking about. A short section of his driveway is on the city school property, and he has a right-of-way through it. So it's just a matter of talking to the school district to see if we can get an easement to get through that little distance to get to the city sewer. I was unaware that where his driveway was, the city school actually
Right.
owned.
The way it sounded the other night, it was gonna be difficult with the school, but
I don't know if it would.
I don't think
I
it
don't
will
think
be.
it would.
The discharge line from the city goes across school property, and they don't have a problem with
Good.
that, so I'm assuming it shouldn't be a problem.
we need 2 easements.
But Joe seemed very receptive before I got here, and like I said, I'm meeting with him tomorrow morning and talk to him. So that's his work on.
You ever work on the forest line?
I've-
Sewer?
I've had to work on it 3 times since I've been here, out near Burger King and Dunkin' Donuts.
You're familiar with it,
The force main? Oh, yeah. Putting them in, or you mean just repairing? Either or. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've done more repairs than putting in.
So we get a motion to approve that allocation request?
So moved.
There are other comments or questions,
Are there any amendments, additions?
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Right.
All right, so,
Was this part of that contract, Trudell? The original, where
it wasn't,
we had paid extra for this?
yes. It was minor, took very little time, but yes, it wasn't part of the original contract.
Yeah, if you want to talk about it,
Well, Alan has prepared, and it's up to you as a board if you want to consider it tonight or at our next meeting. We have that Memorial Parks policy. We changed it per your comments at the last meeting, but Alan has the layout of where would propose that we put all the benches, including a book that actually shows each and every spot with identifying numbers on. I don't know if you want to talk about that tonight or if you'd like it at your next meeting. Which is,
My feeling is next meeting.
Okay.
It's all new information, but I'm sure it won't be a big issue.
it's not, yeah, it's not surprising, but I don't want you to feel rushed. It's a good, It's a good plan.
Get it going and take a look at it and get it right.
so September 4th.
So, if you bring it up now, it's a little surprise, not a big surprise.
But Alan, while you're here, Sunday I went into the park. There was kids running, and I was going slow, but that walkway is right there. You know, when you enter the park, you can't see, the trees are there.
Yep.
We're gonna have to do something for the people traveling through, because the car just fits into the gate and it's right there where the walk is. It's a dangerous situation.
I am. I can do like small little stop signs for the pedestrians,
What
like
about
they do
par-
for snowmobile trails and
What about
stuff.
parabolic mirrors?
Excuse me?
Parabolic mirrors?
Yeah, but how many pedestrians? I'd have to put it in a cedar tree for
That's
the.
more for the drivers,
What's that?
more for the driver.
No, that's what I mean, is how many drivers gonna look. I mean, because it'd have to be across the way in one of the trees, you know? I think it's better for me to put up some kind of a caution for the
Yeah.
pedestrians.
Yeah, right, some warning, yeah, right.
And maybe
That would be
paint
As long as there's something, yeah.
crossing it.
Yeah.
You can look at that.
Yeah.
That's what they
Yeah.
do at Martha's Vineyard.
I never thought of
Both
that.
entrances or the one near the sign?
The one at the,
So they have to
Yeah.
stop.
Rotary?
yeah, by Black Graveside.
Yep, rotary sign.
It's like you've been doing a lot of raking down there.
Yeah, the parks crew this year has been phenomenal. They're using the seaweed rake, their Harley rake, and the beach is looking good. Water looks like pea soup, but just for the record, I took my boat out yesterday and I went all the way between Alberg and North Hero to the Broad Lake on the New York side through the Gut and Grand Isle, and the lake looks the same way everywheres. So it's not just St. Albans Bay, it's the entire lake.
Think they have
I get so
others.
sick of hearing the news when something comes up, they always show a picture of the park out here, and I get a little offended, so if the news person was near me, they'd probably have my hand around their neck. So, for the record, it's the entire lake.
Allegedly, like, we're not threatening anyone.
Sorry, but I take pride in that park over there and this town, and it just bothers me when I see the picture come up all the time.
We don't
on
like being the
something.
poster child for poor water quality.
And
That's not
another thing I
fair.
didn't know is our new boat is in use.
Our new boat is in the water. They are occasionally using it. I don't know if it's being used for every call.
It is being used. And it is at Chuck's Marina.
It is.
What are we paying for that, Carrie?
We are not. It is a donation.
Oh, great, great. The question that I have is, are we gonna put the old boat up for sale pretty soon before we miss the
Well, they
season
wanted
and
to.
have to store it?
They actually wanted to use it because they hadn't trained everyone on the other boat yet. So they were using a combination of both of those things, unless they had the comfort level with the new boat. But yes, he was thinking this fall that we'd put it out to bid. It was approved. We just didn't want to let it go too early. Did I answer all the questions?
Are we in public comment yet? No?
Nope, that's it. We're up.
Okay. So now we'll move on to public comment. Bruce?
Yeah. I got a question. Where do we stand on the trash ordinance violations that we had? Because that hasn't been brought up lately.
Well, a couple of them were kind of pending litigation, but the one on, Brigham? Bingham.
Shaw Road, yeah.
We sent that letter about 2 weeks ago. The individual who owns the larger tract of land contracted with a worker bee, I'm gonna call him, a contractor, to clean up. He has been furiously cleaning up since our deadline, and promised, should be today or the next day, that should be complete, including some of the large things like boats and trucks. I haven't gone over there. I did not go over there today.
Yeah, I went by there this weekend. It looks like they're making an attempt.
He was making substantial headway, and so it was cost effective not to go forward and do it ourselves when he was making progress.
Sure.
The large tract of land looks better. I don't know about the lake shore.
Well, that's right, and that's the one
I didn't
that,
go down Lake Shore.
that's the one we're talking about, so,
But the point is,
That's
it's being treated as a zoning violation, and they're.
yes, and we had an agreement and they were in violation. That's correct.
So we have the
Yep,
agreement.
and the other one down
Enforcing the
off
agreement.
Lapan, that's a success story, I think, with a lot of coordinated effort between Alan, the fire department, and the zoning administrator. They did pick up a lot of the property, and it
Great.
started a neighborhood rehab of sorts that
Wow,
has gone
fantastic.
over pretty well. And so that was done with voluntary compliance. We didn't really have to find them.
Great.
The individual up here on Lake Street has been elusive. I'm working on something with the state right now. I hope to be able to share with you soon, but we've sent violation letters and we've seen no activity. And when attempting to serve that individual, he does not come to the door. So I've talked to different law enforcement agencies on how we're going to do that.
Well, thanks for the update. I was up at the other park, Cohen Park, Sunday. And that place looks pretty nice up there. I mean, there were some people in there enjoying themselves. And I see that you have some trusses setting up there.
Yep, they were delivered in. I'm just waiting on the state permit right now. Those are for the pavilion to be built out there.
Yeah. What a beautiful piece of property that is. Yeah. So any idea when we can get to that this year, Alan, you think?
Yeah, I can't, the earliest I can start is the 12th of next month according to the state. I have to wait 30 days and see if anyone appeals the permit or
So you're
not.
gonna do slab on grade, or you're gonna?
There'll be a slab, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be nice. That's gonna be real nice.
It's a pretty popular park right now.
It is. It is. It just looks so. It looks so nice. It looks so clean. You know, I just hope we can keep that up.
That'd be really well.
That's all I've got.
I have another one on trash on Bronson Road. Every year, they're gonna have a crew to come and clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not cleaned up, is it?
Yeah, it was done about 2 weeks ago with a combination of Northwest Solid Waste District and a work crew from the prison. And the leader said he had what did he say? A highly motivated crew. And and they did a great job. They actually did a great job on that. That's who I'm trying to work with to find out if we can somehow pick one project a year that we can do this with, because a combination of the work crew and the solid waste district and Alan helped get a couple things going. Surface clean was done.
I think the gentleman that lived there passed away, and
His wife did. He's still
yeah.
there, yeah. And they were in
They
their
were
mid.
hard workers, and they just
Yep.
never had any money, and they needed some
Right,
help.
mid-'80s. They couldn't go down that bank.
Right.
So when the leaves go away, it should look remarkably cleaner.
Those people I don't mind helping.
Yep,
Well, they certainly have their undivided attention.
did.
I've used prison crews in the past, and I find them excellent.
Yeah.
They've got great supervision, and like Carrie said, the people are motivated to do their best.
I hope you're not going to tell us there should be more of them.
Prison work crews? Yeah,
Kind of a joke, Al.
I know. Get those guys out, though, and gals.
It's all. Is it all gals? No, it changed back to guys, right?
Yeah, but
That's
in
correct.
Chittenden County, I used women work crews.
Whole hand look. You got a failure to communicate.
Any other public comment? Did you come forward, sir?
Come on, David, we just want to go home.
You got 5 minutes or less, mister.
Bye, Ned, see you tomorrow.
The reason I'm here tonight is I just got done my board of directors meeting at Public Access, and basically, me and Rick Tatro are up for reappointment by the Select Board for a 3-year term. I'm stepping down as the president of the Public Access because I've been president for 9 years. I want somebody with new ideas and new goals, so I need a letter, if you could appoint Carrie to sign a letter saying that Rick Tatro and myself are now appointed for a 3-year term, because you guys have done it in the past,
When does your term expire?
as of October.
Okay. So we could do a letter and they could look at it at their next meeting.
Wait. You mean
So you're
just
pro-
a letter to appoint him and Rick?
Yeah, for the representing St. Albans Town.
Yeah, why can't we just approve that now? I mean, why
Well,
not
you
look
can
at
if
the
you-
letter?
Well, you can if
We
you
don't have a
like.
letter to sign, that's all. Once a letter.
I can sign the letter, actually.
Terry can sign the
I
letter,
can,
just
if
saying
you're-
the wishes of the select board is
They
to.
don't like surprises.
Yeah.
You missed the first part of the meeting. Just, I didn't know if they wanted to wait, but.
He was Taj Mahal on Channel 16.
What?
You complained about our Taj Mahal on Channel 16 when you ran for reelection.
You talking about this building?
The
No, no, no,
building that we were going to build.
The first building, the Public
Yes.
Works Garage, I agree with you 100%, was the Taj
Yeah,
Mahal.
see?
You only got 3 minutes though, so I think we, we would
5
like to
minutes, public comments.
talk 5
But
minutes.
this one, I've seen the plans for it, and I think, I would support it 100%.
Hey, thank you.
You saw the interior plans?
No, I saw the blueprint of the outside,
Oh,
stuff
okay.
like that. I haven't seen the inside.
Okay, that's better.
So is a 3-year term, you said?
3-year term.
Okay. And is there a motion on the table? or
Thank
wanna
you,
wait?
Al, for
Yes.
coming up.
I would move that the two be reappointed to their board of
You and
directors.
Nighthawk?
Yeah,
Wow.
actually, he's
All those
gonna,
in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion
You've done a great
What's your
job.
night
Just
hawk?
before you leave, I think what you've done for the public access TV has been phenomenal. I did visit your,
yeah, I see the pictures, you were in them.
and it's a fabulous new facility that will well serve the public for many, many years to come.
Yeah, and
It
it
was-
will be, and we've already got over 50% of it already paid off.
Yeah, and your leadership to get that done was
With the
phenomenal.
leadership of all my board members, I'm not just gonna take credit for myself. I think it takes a team in order to make it work.
There you go.
You spent too much money.
Oh, come on.
Well, you know something, that place is
It's a
appraised at
mini Taj
$540,000, and I got
much.
we got $1.2 million because.
Yes, yes,
And I wanted to go,
yes.
and I was the only one that voted to go that way.
should've.
Okay, thank you.
I only got one vote.
Okay, schedule
Motion.
Tuesday, September 4th.
So the Labor Day meetings was rescheduled to Tuesday, the 4th, and Monday, the 17th in September.
Okay.
I will be missing the 17th meeting.
That's unacceptable.
Okay, I take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you.